I was looking for a wall piece to put up in my office, and as a person with a CNC machine and an avid Star Wars fan, I figured it was a good time to tackle doing the Star Wars Aztec Calendar carve. And so when I went looking to get some ideas and figure out the best way to do this, I realized there was lots of people showcasing their carves and their finishing, but not a lot that had gone over the software that I used, set up the settings, in the hopes that it might help somebody in the future that wanted to do this project. As I mainly do this for a hobby and for myself, I haven't put any money into the software. So for this carve, I'm going to be using the Carbide Create version 6. This version allows for G-code export, unlike some of the newer versions. So once you have Carbide Create open, we're going to go in and set up our job. So we're going to pick the size of our project. In my case, I'm doing 610 millimeters by 610 millimeters, and a depth of 18.5 is my stock. I'm going to set my origin and say OK. I'm then going to go in and import the DFX file. I'll link that in the description. When you first import it, it's all selected, so I'm going to use the group vectors option to keep everything in place, and then I'm going to use the align tool to align it to the center of the stock. Once you have it aligned, then you can click the ungroup vectors option so that each individual part is selectable, and just confirm that you can actually select any additional part. Once you've confirmed that, then you can click on the toolpaths button to add a toolpath. We're going to make sure to select all of the parts except for that outer ring, and we're going to do an advanced V-carve. In advanced V-carve, we're going to pick our roughing bit, which will be our 1/8 inch end mill. The specifics of the speeds and feeds you will have to determine for your machine, but these are settings that I've found work well on my Ultimate Bee. So once you have those settings set up for your 1/8 inch end mill, you're going to say OK, and then you can also set up your V-bit. So in here, again, you're going to adjust the V-bit settings to that of your machine. In this case, I'm using a 60 degree V-bit. I've seen people use 90s, 45s, or 30s for different levels of detail. 60 seemed to work okay, but I could see a 30 working well for the amount of detail in this file. So it will take a while to calculate that toolpath because it's quite large. But in the meantime, we can select the outer ring and do a contour toolpath. In my case, I'm going to use a 1/4 inch end mill, so it does mean another bit change. But I'm going to go to the tool database library and using the 1/4 inch end mill, I'm going to set up the feeds and speeds for that. And I'm going to make sure I'm doing a outside toolpath. So I want to cut on the outside of that line. And then I want to add some tabs because I'm going to do a full depth cut to cut it out from the stock. So in this case, I'm setting up about 8 tabs, 4 on the top, 4 on the bottom, just to make sure that it stays in place. Once I've got all the tabs set, I can go OK. Double check everything and OK to that. So now we have 2 tool paths. The advanced V-carve includes 2 tools, and then the last cutout includes another tool. It's going to generate, if I say show simulation, it's going to generate the final tool path and give me a visualization of what we're going to get when we go to carve it. Again, this part can take a little bit of time. And then if you turn off the show toolpath and show rapids, you can get a cleaner look of what you're actually going to get as a final product. If you don't like it, you can adjust some of the depths and play with it to get a look that you're happier with. We're going to save our G-code out as a file. Now in my case, because I'm using the M6 command to do tool changes as part of my G-Sender setup, I'm going in and making a couple adjustments to the exported G-code. So one, I'm adding in the M3 command properly because it doesn't come out of Carbide Create 6 properly. And then I'm changing the M0, which would be a pause, to an M6. So in this, I'm adjusting the M0s to M6s, and I'm adjusting the their spindle command to a full M3 spindle speed command. And that seems to work much better with G-Sender in my machine. So with the file ready, we'll head over to the machine. So here's the bits I'll be using. This is the 1/8 inch compression bit from Speed Tools, the 60-degree V bit, and finally the 1/4 inch compression and mill to do the final cutout. So with that, I'll get the first bit set up and I'll get the stock zeroed and machine ready to cut.
$2,000 later.
It was actually only just overnight, but I was able to change out the V-bit for the 1/4 inch compression bit and finish the cutout. So after all that cutting, here's what I'm left with. And now I'm ready to apply some finish and get it hung up on the wall.